Welcome. This is Eric from EAI, Elemental Arts Initiative, in collaboration with Aerosha, bringing you a brief preview of the coming cosmic weather. The sacred geometry of time, astrology. When one looks at this 2025, I see a beautiful sacred geometry. It's marked by a movement of the major planets into air and fire signs. And it's also marked by retrograde of largely fire energy. And when one can look at the ripple effects of the sacredness of a pine cone and the Fibonacci numbers, and then move away and see that represented in other aspects, one can also start to see the elements and how they play out in the cycles of birth and decay and death. And we can start to see that the air and the fire are beginnings, just like spring and summer are beginning periods of time. This 2025 is a profound example of the regenerative potential of new beginnings. And yet, often, just like in nature, there's going to be decay and rot and death and tumult. It is very much a time marked by transition and marked by an awkward, rebellious, potentially resplendent, unique, unpredictable period of time. We are no longer in the period and the cycle of the last 30 years marked at the beginning of 1989, when we had the last Saturn and Neptune conjunction. It was the similarly revolutionary period of time with Tiananmen Square and the Berlin Wall falling down and the Cold War coming to its end. This period of time, where this summer we mark the beginning of an Aries conjunction of Neptune and Saturn in Aries, a period of time that's going to be for the next 3 to 4 years, where these will be in conjunction in the same sign. It's a powerful period of new beginnings in a new energy in massive ways. And we have been so much in the old energy that we have no idea that we've been in an energy. It's like the fish in the water that we're swimming in. There's going to be a new wave, a new energy, a new pattern than any time that we've ever been in. It's going to be an energy of evolution, of transformation, of innovation, and unpredictability and destruction. Sounds a lot like what we've been having a sneak preview of in the last year, that revolutionary energy of Pluto in the air sign of Aquarius. This has been setting the stage of this new Aquarian age. Please listen to my previous recording about Pluto and Aquarius to really get a sense of that zeitgeist and that energy. And what's going to happen in 2025 is that all of the planets, all of the major planets are moving into new signs. And fire and air will be the major themes of those planets, new energy and new spaces. It's going to be, another word that comes to mind as I think about this is bewildering. It's going to be a bewildering period. Wild, but be wild. It's also an opportunity for us to be wild. And in many ways, all of this bewilderment in these times where you will have, like I mentioned, you have Neptune and Saturn. Saturn's energy being this place of structure, this place of order and complete need for the structures of life. It is the one that the calcifying energy of the systems and society and the way that we've been living in through these periods of great structural change. This will only continue as Neptune is also in that and conjunct that, wants to dissolve all of those structural and erode the boundaries of reality. There's going to be an erosion of our boundaries, an erosion of what we feel and deem to be real. And the patience and sacrifice that Saturn is asking of us is we will need to infuse the disruptive period that this is, that we are in right now, the reform, the renovation. But there's always like I mentioned, the sacred geometry of the astrology. We are being set up perfectly for this, though, in a beautiful way, as the retrograde energies that begin the year set us up to prepare ourselves for this, to gain and reclaim and recognize what it is to be a Martian energy in Leo. How can we reform, reclaim, mature, find our alchemizing gold, inner gold of going into a death and rebirth cycle, of finding the depths of what it is to be in the fire and to burn away our ego and to have the refinement of the masculine and the masculine energy in a more refined and astute and mature way. It's going to be so necessary if we take advantage of these times, of these retrograde periods, and don't just judge them and go ham. This is a period, please listen to my retrograde video about how we can mise en place our life, how we can make sure everything is in its proper place and that our energies are in their mise en place, that we can work clean and we can be astute and we can bring that intentionality to this area so we don't get swept up in it, in our emotions, in our passions, in our feelings, in that sort of realm. So this is Mars in retrograde asking that of us, asking us to do the hero's journey into the work and do the inner work necessary to set us up for this massive, massive onslaught of this alchemizing fire energy that's going to be coming our way. Not to mention that Venus is retrograde shortly after the year starts. It begins in March 1st for 40 days and 40 nights, very much like Venus the star. This is like the story of Jesus. Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights to bring back the feminine in its purest of forms. This is the time for the feminine to bring back the masculine, to weave it together. We have to both be responsible for our energies. All of us have to navigate these coming years. We are not allowed to just be in a one energy. This is a time and a period where we need to be fully accessing the full resources of the masculine and the feminine, and for the feminine energy to move forward, to reclaim this Aries energy. And just like where a tarot card is upside down and it's normally thought of as a malevolent card or a difficult card, and it's upside down, we look at it from a different perspective. We have a different interpretation. It's the same with Venus and Aries. It doesn't normally want to be there. It's a little uncomfortable. It's a tense time, but this is a time that can reclaim the Aries energy and weave that warrior energy that can come in and be unified that and use it in a way that can be a higher propensity of that. And during that same time, we've also got Mercury in Aries in retrograde. So like I said, and Mars is just coming out of its retrograde. So there's this beautiful retrograde energy to start the year. And with the planets, this new wave and this new cycle of Saturn and Neptune coming together, marking a new period of time, a new 30-year cycle of them coming together and starting. That doesn't really start into February. There's in many ways, we have a slow burn up until this massive change and shift of the tectonic plates. And so the retrograde period here at the beginning sets us in motion as we move into this Saturn moving into Aries and the Neptune moving into Aries. And then we've got Uranus in Gemini moving into an air sign. Feels very much like this Pluto in Aquarius energy, and that you have a very destabilizing, sudden, original force of nature that is Uranus with the sanguine air sign of Gemini. It's like, dang, you want to change everything? All right, let's change. Oh, forget about tradition. Forget about the way things have been. Let's try something new. Let's do this. And so the destabilization that we've been experienced is going to be even more so, as though we took our life and shook it all up and then put it out there. This is what it's going to feel like. It's very upside down kind of quality. And that sounds hey, that doesn't sound so great. However, as someone who values creativity and values and sees the importance of shaking things up for creativity, it is a supremely juicy creative time. This bewildering time is a perfect time to be in a creative space. And so bringing in that Saturnian structure to bring in and bring some order and some sanity to this. But the sanity that is necessary must be elevated and not in this earthy, old, traditional kind of way. It has to be reflective of the transcendent qualities of what it is to be an evolving and alchemizing human. This is what this new cycle of Saturn and Neptune call for us. It's a theme of structure with the dissolving. That's what it is to be an alchemizing agent. All of this tumult gives it's fertile ground for spiritual evolution. And I think of spiritual evolution as the ego shedding and being aware and not fighting that and surrendering to that and allowing us to shine light and to sit with and to hold the parts of us that we despise, to find an inner intimacy and an inner way for us to be intimates with the very things that we are triggered by. That formulation and that inner intimacy of the masculine and the feminine energies coming together and finding peace is going to have a revolutionary impact on the world, where we can be a horse whisperer to the surrounding energy around us. It's a time, these fiery signs, yes, they are passionate, yes, they are bold, and yes, at times reckless, but it's also a time, like I mentioned, of great potential, creative potential. And that Saturn being in Aries, there's going to give us the restraint when we can access that. And the tension that's going to be there, that we've been feeling between the masculine and the feminine, can be unified within us. If we want to find the peace out there, we have to find the peace within us. And that's only by walking into the fiery flames. Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, and there was a fourth, and that was the Christ. This is a Bible story, but it's fitting for what's occurring and what's about to occur, as no part of him was singed in the flames. And this same idea that we can walk through here and the fires cannot touch us, but it's only when we can look around and approach it all with curiosity, a radical curiosity, a resplendent, regenerative curiosity, and curious with ourselves, and then curious with the world around us and what's coming. The transformational, innovative, renewing period calls forth in us that which is curious, that which is courageous, and that which is creative. And it is through curiosity, courage, and creativity that we can navigate these coming times and not be afraid to let things go, not be afraid to change ourselves radically in unexpected and bewildering ways, all the while letting courage, curiosity, and creativity be a guiding force as we move through the alchemizing terrain that is 2025 and beyond. Thank you.